Okay, so the camera's gonna be a little bouncy, it looks like, but this is my love story. How it all began. Kind of a long story, but a good story. But anyways, here we go. So what I'm gonna try to do is show y'all pictures while I describe to you, those pictures. But before I do that, before I felt the love of my life, had to go through a few to get there. And there's a story behind that may help young girls now. And this may not be appropriate for kids, so if you got kids, take them out. You may not want them to hear some of this, but I just wanted to give my testimony kind of with the whole finding the right one. But this is my story, my love story. Okay, so before I found Brian, my husband of almost 17 years tomorrow on Valentine's Day, I had to go through a few to get there. I think there was like one in high school, actually two in high school that wasn't the best. I don't know what I was thinking then. I hope these people aren't watching them, but I'm not naming any names, so no names will be brought into this. To kind of give my backstory, yes, I was raised in a Christian home my whole life. We go to church on Sunday, we go to church on Sunday night, we go to church on Wednesday night. That's how I was raised. And I thank my parents for that. And I thank God for everything. So with being a Christian, I wanted to keep my virginity till I got married. And I did. And I'm going to tell you all about that. Not all about that, but about that. So the guys that I met in high school, of course, I wasn't really thinking along those lines, so nothing happened there. When I got out of high school, of course, my last year, 2 years of high school, I homeschooled. So me and some of my friends used to go cruise on this one road, even in our town, up and down, a lot. And I met a guy there. He was a Marine. He was a nice guy, never tried taking advantage, nothing like that. So I met a lot of Marines. But this one was not because of my brother, because my brother was in the Marine Corps, of course my husband was too, and that's how we met, and we'll get to that. But this is probably going to be a part 2, part 3, part 4 type video, but this is part 1. But that guy that I met was a decent guy. He did, like when he had to go back to base or whatever, he did call and we stayed in contact and stuff, but he was more of the partying type, and of course I wasn't. And so things kind of broke off there and went their own separate ways. There was another one that I met. It was not a Marine. He was actually supposed to be a pastor. So I met him when I went to a revival at one of my family members' church. So me and him made eye contact quite a bit. He was a good looking guy. So we made eye contact and all that. And then that's when I had my hot pink pearl 66 Mustang. And I drove it to church that night, one of the nights of the revival. And he wanted to take off and go somewhere. So I had my cousin and a friend of ours with us. And he was a little on the pushy side. Before we went there was a fellowship hall, and he did like karate. He taught like karate and stuff like that. So he did a demonstration that night in the fellowship hall. And him and his dad were staying up in the upstairs room above the fellowship hall. So he grabbed me by the hand that night and led me up there, and I had my cousin's hand and she let go, and so I'm going upstairs all alone with this guy, which, he's supposed to be a pastor, so you don't think nothing would, happen or whatever. I didn't, but I was kind of nervous because I don't like being in situations with a guy, even before I was married. I didn't like being in a situation with a guy by myself, you know, especially in situations like that. I don't know, it was just me. So anyways, so we went up and he went all the way into the room. I stood in the doorway. He tried to pull me in a little bit, and I was, I'll just stay right here. Didn't want to make people, you know, come upstairs and think bad. You know, I wanted to keep my reputation clean. That was my whole purpose. But anyways, so then he came to the doorway and grabbed me and just started kissing me. And I was kind of in shock because I've never had something like that to happen. Especially being that he was supposed to be, you know, a pastor. I'm not saying that he wasn't or anything like that, but you wouldn't think that a man of God would act the way he did, and that wasn't it. That wasn't all that happened. So I mean, nothing like that. You know, we kissed, and then we went back downstairs, and I was really embarrassed and felt really weird and uncomfortable. But then he wanted to go off on a date, and I wanted my cousin and our friend to go with me, because I didn't really want to be alone with him, because I'm sitting here thinking to myself, if he, you know, grabs me and starts, you know, kissing me like that, then what's going to happen next? And I didn't want to put myself in that situation. So we went to this little diner and ate there, and he wanted to drive my Mustang. So we got out, and like, you know, he went this way, I went this way, and when we crossed paths, he grabs my backside. So then I really got a red flag, and it was really making me uncomfortable. And I should have said something, but back then I was very shy. Having my kids is what really opened me up and got me out of my shell. But back then I was very shy. I didn't really want to say anything, because I didn't want to hurt anybody. I always, you know, scared of stuff like that. I was just that type of person. I was just very shy, and I didn't want to say anything. So we went back to my cousin's house, and when we pulled up, he wanted to see if me and him could go somewhere by ourselves. And I was like, I don't know. I said, let me go in and talk to my aunt and uncle. So went in the house, and I asked them, I said, can my cousin please come with me? I don't want to be alone with him. I told them what had happened. I told him that I was scared, you know, if something like that happened, I don't know what he would try. I was scared he'd try to force himself on me, and I didn't want to be in that situation. So they ended up coming back with me, and I told them, I said, they wanted to come with us. So then after that, we went back to the church and dropped him off. Of course, he grabs me again, starts kissing again. I should have pulled away. I should have told him no. I know these things. I know I should have done these things. Like I said, I was shy. I was backwards. I kind of just went with whatever was happening. That was just the type of person I was. But anyways, after that, he tried to stay in contact with me through email, and then I asked him if I could call him. And then when I called him, I actually opened up and told him how I felt, that I didn't think it was right that he did this and did that. I didn't think that was right. And he was like, oh, well, I don't do that with every girl, you know, at every church that I go to or whatever. But I kind of thought that maybe that was the case. May not have been. Maybe I was the only one. I don't know, but to me, it was very uncomfortable. He was supposed to have been a man of God. You would think a man of God would have a lot more respect for a woman than what he did. That ended. My next relationship, well, it wasn't really a relationship, I don't guess. But anyways, not naming any names, but this was another Marine, and my brother knew him. I'm not getting any names. I'm not naming any names. It's not important. Just wanted you to hear the story. Of course, like I told you, I was keeping my virginity till marriage, and that didn't sit well with a lot of guys, because they wanted one thing and one thing only, and I wasn't about to give that one thing up. So I stood my ground on that. That's one thing that I am super proud of myself. You know what? Forget it. I am going to brag on myself, because that is one thing that I was always super proud of myself for doing, is for keeping myself from my husband. But anyway, so like I said, it didn't sit well with some people. So this person, we actually went on a trip with my brother and some of his friends, and we all went to the beach. Me and this person went walking on the beach. He told me that he wants to find the right woman. This has been a while back, so I don't want to say exactly, but I do remember one thing that he said, that he would love to go fishing with my dad, get to know my dad, all this stuff. And you don't tell a girl stuff like this. I'm just gonna be blunt with this. You don't tell a girl stuff like this and get their hopes up thinking, something's, gonna happen between, a relationship maybe getting ready to happen, and then just up and find another girl and kissing on this girl right in front of you on the same trip. It was hard. It was very hard. I was very upset, and I'm even going to get into something else. I got so upset, so down, because it seemed like all these guys were just not right for me, and I just wanted to find this right guy, because all I wanted to ever do is get married and have kids my whole life. That's just what I wanted to do. I wanted a family. But anyways, it just seemed like guy after guy after guy wasn't the right one, and I just had super bad experiences with these guys, and it made me really mad. So I started drinking on that trip. I got pretty drunk that night after seeing him bring this girl in the same room as where me and my brother and his friends were all staying. The only reason I did go on this trip was because my brother watches out for me. He always has. There were several guys that I liked in high school that he's like, no, you're not having anything to do with him. My brother always looked up for me, and I thank him for that, because it could have been more heartbreak, And then he probably told some, hey, my sister's like this, she's wanting to keep herself, and that may have turned some guys away too. But hey, that's okay, because I didn't need them in my life anyhow. But anyways, okay, so getting on. So I was messed up that night. I got pretty drunk and just kind of passed out in bed, and that was it. So when I got back home, I was just so upset, because all these guys, they act like they're interested, and once they find out, that, hey, I'm not that type of girl, they didn't want anything else to do with me, or just situations happen. But anyway, I was just super mad. I'm like, you know what, I'm done. I'm done with trying to find a boyfriend. I'm just done with this right now. So I actually wrote an email to my brother and told him I had went on some other date with some other guy, and oh my God, y'all, talking about uncomfortable. It was very uncomfortable. He didn't try anything like that. Oh, it was one of those dates where you go and you're sitting down, and I bet 5 words were maybe said in between me and him both, and that was it. It was super uncomfortable. But anyways, I can't remember if that was the email that I sent my brother. This is when my brother was overseas now, and me and him would always email back and forth. And he emailed me and said, there's this boy that works out with me in the gym on the ship, and he said he's a pretty cool guy. So and he wanted to know if I wanted, or my brother wanted to know if he wanted me to ask him if we could start emailing or whatever. And this is where my love story begins. So before I get into mine and Brian's love story, girls, stick to your guns. Don't give in because you really like this guy or whatever. You stick to your guns. And I'm not saying, please don't get me wrong, if girls had lost their virginity before they got married, that's between you and God. That I'm not judging anybody, and I hope nobody judges me for wanting to save myself for my husband. I mean, it could go either or. I'm not saying this to like put people down that have, that didn't save themselves or anything like that. I don't want y'all to think that. Just wanted to make that clear. I'm just telling you my story and how I wanted to do this. But we'll get on to my love story.